welcome everybody to another episode of the Realm of Ridiculous, where DK teaches me all about fantasy Warhammer, which I immediately take as a Boss Baby reference. Before we get into this episode, if you enjoy this podcast, head on over to patreon.com/Adeptus Ridiculous, where you can get access to the Discord, bloopers if they happen. There's a couple of them for this episode already. HD posters, digital format, great stuff. Go ahead, check it all out. And then also, of course, head on over to the description. That's what it's called. Where you can go to orchidate.com and get awesome merch for the holidays, like dice, clothing, different kinds of posters, all kinds of lovely stuff. Patreon.com/Adeptus Ridiculous. DK, what have you been up to?
Well, first off, I'd just like to say fantastic intro. Man, that was just clear cut, one take. I'm so proud of you, buddy. Like, golly.
Take two, restart that thing.
Restart on that thing. But hey, I've been learning about fantasy. This is, I think, kind of a topical episode. So if you're ready, would you like your quote?
Yes, I would like my quote, actually, please.
Okay. The quote, and this is a popular one, this is literally on the front page of their wiki, it's just the most fitting one. It is, "You look down on us and think we are little better than barbarians. But you should be glad that we are, for without us, the northern tribes would be dining on the flesh of your children, burning in your homes. But for the courage that flows in our veins, would your lands be theirs. Look down on us? You should get down on your knees and thank us every day."
Oh, okay. Well, they're hoity-toity, no doubt. You really emphasize the look down part, but we've done dwarves already.
We have. There's no emphasis on their height.
Okay. I wasn't sure because you really were like emphasizing the down.
The big emphasis is that they guard against the northern tribes, and they are actually quite important, and they are not just savage barbarians.
Is it Kislev?
It is Kislev!
Yeah!
Let's go! We are indeed talking about the icy lands of Kislev.
I did not have much to roll around with that one, only because you said northern tribes, and I just was like, cold?
Cold? Icy?
And that was the best I got, so let's go! Hell yeah!
And it's Christmas time, it's the winter. What better time to talk about the icy barren landscapes of Kislev than now?
Let's go. All right. So I actually don't know a ton about Kislev. That said, I did play a bit of Warhammer Total War 3, and the prologue is all Kislev related.
Ah, that must have been one of the expansions, right? Because Total War Warhammer 3 is like, there's the base game, and then there's like a trillion like add-on factions that they like continuously like make the game bigger with, right?
So it's the prologue like tutorial thing was Kislev related.
Oh, okay.
One of the like Kislev kings kind of dudes basically found a corrupted artifact, and then things went downhill ever since then.
Fair enough.
But yes, it's like this amalgamation of like various Slavic cultures with like very cold people, ice bears, and like witch queens, right?
Yep. My opening was going to be like, you're going to realize real quick that this is kind of like your Slavic area, like your Russias, your Ukraines, your Poland. And it's going to be very apparent that they are kind of borrowing and depicting the Tzardom of Russia, because the place is literally officially known as the Tzardom of Kislev.
Okay. Oh, wow. All right. Gotcha.
Yeah. The leaders, as we're going to find out, are literally called Tsars. And if you are a female, you are a tzarina in Kislev.
All right. Well, we're not here for subtlety. We just made a Space Marine chapter last episode. We know we're not here for subtlety.
No, we are not. So before we get into like the history of Kislev, just in general, kind of painting a picture of Kislev, like we said, Kislev is the most northern territory of man. They're not technically part of the Empire, but they're allied with them. They're not in the Empire's umbrella, but they are allies. And like we said, what Kislev does for the Empire kind of can't be understated. Kislev is the most northern territory, and they're bordering basically on Chaos Wastelands. To the north of them is troll country. There's just chaos-worshipping humans. And then I think there is a coast that they're on. And the sea out to that coast is called the Sea of Claws. And not Santa Claus, like Claws.
No, like stabby, slicey.
Mm-hmm,
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the Sea of Claws because it's like a jagged and awful, or?
I don't know. It's just from that Sea of Claws, there's a bunch of like chaos raiders that are constantly coming in and sailing in and looking for treasure and wealth. So they are literally the last line of defense between the chaos wastelands, the chaos wastes, and the Empire. If Kislev is not there, chaos has like just, you know what? We're going south and we're going right into the Empire.
Okay, so that's why they're allied. It's not because they love each other or anything. It's because it's an alliance of convenience.
I mean, they tolerate each other. They're okay with each other. They're fine.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Yeah, but obviously a lot of the Empire are like, oh, they're just barbarians and savages. And it's like, well, that's easy to say from your warm, fertile, safe land, while the Kislevites are in the bitter cold, fighting for their lives every day to make sure that you can live your cushy little life.
Is that how the Kislevites feel?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of. They're like, that's like that quote, right? Like, oh, you want to look down on us? Bitch, you don't even know what I've dealt with today.
All right,
right,
all right, fair point.
Yep. And invading Kislev from like, I don't know, anything but a chaos perspective seems like kind of a fool's errand. Because again, Kislev is just bitterly cold, and the people have to be even stronger, like to survive, adapt, and thrive in this. So invading the Motherland, and yes, they do call it the Motherland.
God damn it.
They do call it the Motherland. Is a pretty bad idea because the weather itself is like a soldier you have to fight in their army because it is so cold. If you remember the Greenskin episode, the most badass orc to ever live, Grimgor Ironhide, wanted to invade Kislev, but the weather and a blizzard that the Ice Queen made completely stopped him.
Well, if I recall correctly, he went to go do it, and then the Ice Queen stopped him, and then he was like, damn it, and then he walked away, and then he looked back behind him, and he was like, ha ha ha, and then she did it again.
Yeah, but he lost a ton of troops just to the fact that it was so goddamn cold.
What a typical orc.
Yeah, very typical orc, yeah. And you know what? That's a good enough segue to start talking about the origins of the Tzardom of Kislev, which started off as a nomadic tribe of sort of horse riders that were known as the Gospodars. And they initially started off in this place called the Eastern Steppes. It's kind of this big open plains area. And they aren't quite in their big frozen tundra just yet. But, you know, they're in these roaming steppes. They're these absolutely fierce nomadic tribe of horsemen, and they're making their way around. They're doing the nomadic thing. They're going from place to place, doing the nomadic living lifestyle until the great catastrophe happens. And one by one, the other tribes that were in these steppes start falling. They're either destroyed or enslaved by chaos. Not a lot of good things happening, but the Gospodar, they're strong. They're strong horse people. They're surviving. They're fighting. They're resisting the temptation to fall into the service of chaos. And of course, they can't hold out forever. They even managed to employ their main deity named Ursun, which is the god of bears and strength. And
yes. I know Ursun. It's a big part of the prologue.
Oh, yep. That is their main deity. It's the Kislev logo. It's like a blue background, and I think it's either a white bear head or on some of their shields, they have a big white bear paw. But even with Ursun helping them, they are still losing ground, and the forces of chaos are seemingly endless, and it's not looking good. It's like, oh, damn. It's only a matter of time before we fall. It's only a matter of time before, oh, Gospodar, done. But there's a Gospodar shaman priestess that receives this sort of hushed message from a great spirit of nature. It has like a bunch of names. The main ones I found, it's been called the Ancient Widow, the Land, and of course, it has just been called Kislev.
Why is it called the Ancient Widow?
I think that's just its name. I think, maybe it was it's mother to the land, but, I don't know.
All right.
And this ancient spirit is basically like, hey, listen, if you promise to head towards those icy lands over there and free me or like empower me from the prison chaos put me in, I will give you the most absolutely cracked ice magic available and you can totally save your people. And good, yeah.
No, just like it's sus,
It is, and that's a weird thing with Kislev. There's a bunch of stuff that like seems like it's gonna be sus and it's gonna bite you in the butt, and it kind of never does.
No, really.
Yeah, I don't really think they ever. I don't think this ever comes back to bite him in the butt.
That's okay. All right. Unless this is some kind of foreshadowing that I'm not familiar with.
I don't think so. But needless to say, the shaman priestess was like, okay, sure, let's roll. And so the shaman priestess is granted these absolutely smoking ice powers. She unites the Gospodar clans, and she does indeed herd them towards these western icy steeps that the ancient spirit was like, hey, go here. And with the tribes united, the shaman priestess, who was now known as Miska the Slaughterer.
Okay.
Which, don't think I need to explain the nickname, do I?
No, I mean, it's better than, what's his name, the Fat.
the Fat Emperor, or the ignorant. Yep. Yeah, she's a bad bitch. And she would rule over the Gospodar clans as their first ruling and reigning Khan Queen. And so the tribes, slay Khan Queen.
Yeah, that's all I got. Slay
Khan Queen, slay. And so the tribes of Gospodar are under the rule of their Khan Queen, and they would ride to this area the ancient widow told them of. And when Miska laid her eyes on this big, endless frozen terrain, it seemed like it was just pulsing with magical ice energy, and she fell to her knees and she cried frozen tears of joy because she was like, you know what, we finally found a home. This is where we're gonna live, and man, we can do work here. But there was one slight problem. These frozen snowscapes, I guess I should call them, already had tenants called the Unggols, who I think we mentioned briefly in the Empire episode because they do have a bit of a treaty with the Empire because they were a big part of the, I don't know if you remember the battle at Blackfire Pass, big orc human dwarf battle.
Big, is that the one where all the Slayer dwarves were like down below, or?
It was like this big one where a bunch of orcs were spewing out. The dwarfs were getting overrun, and the humans were like, no, we gotta save them. And that's like where the big human dwarf sort of treaty and friendship.
Oh yes, okay, yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, the Unggols were a part of that, so the Empire was like, oh yeah, Unggols, they're pretty cool. They can live up there. Yeah.
And was that the one where oh god, I always forget his name, but I always have like a mental concept of it where it's like the famous orc Blackjaw Gut Punch or whatever his name is.
It was something like that. I think it was like
like Iron Jaw,
like
whatever.
Blackjaw Head Ripper or something like that. Yeah,
some kind of shit. Okay, I remember now. Go ahead.
Yep. They were a big part of that, but I guess to make a long story short, the Gospodars, they kind of dog walk the Unggols. Like the Gospodars aren't just like built different, like they're expert horse people. They have amazing lancers. They're just really burly, built for this kind of territory. And the other big thing is they have Miska, who is not only a brilliant leader, not only a brilliant tactician, not only a brilliant warrior, but now she has this absolutely insane ice magic that she has become absolutely masterful at using.
I think Miska might be a bit busted.
Yeah, Miska at the moment is absolutely cracked. Like an ice cube, one might say. Thank you. I'll be here all week. So, Kislev kind of runs the Ungals out of town pretty easy. They take control of their main hub city from the Ungals called Prague. They're just storming all over the icy lands for themselves. And, it's at around this point that the Ungals and pretty much anyone foolish enough to step to the Gospodars, they start referring to Miska as the Ice Queen because she is doing work.
I'm sorry, DK. I'm sorry. I have to roll this back for a second. Did you say the city of Prague?
Praag, yes.
I have more sympathy for them now because we made our own chapter and we basically did the exact same thing. But I feel like I've peeped the horror. It's like, all right, what do we need for our sort of kind of like Slavic group? Okay, what the Tsar? Yep, okay, so we got the Tsar is perfect.
The Tzardom.
Yeah, the Tzardom. What's the name of the city? That's Prague. Just screw it, man. Yep. We got a deadline in 3 weeks.
What was it we were talking with Kiriath about? Like, oh yeah, just change Jericho, but it's with a G, right?
Oh, no, it's Jericho, but with a K.
Oh yeah, it's Jericho with a K. Yeah, this is Prague with a double A. Come on.
Oh my god.
Totally different thing. But yeah, at this point, Miska is like the Ice Queen. Everybody knows her as the Ice Queen. And they would actually, at this point, they actually start to expand into the Empire territory to the south. Because the Empire, at this point, they're not having a straight up good time. Because, like, I don't know if you remember the Age of Three Emperors, I think it's called, but like there's rebellions, there's civil wars, there's not really one clear ruler everybody is listening to. So like the Gospodars and the Ice Queen Miska are like moving into these places called Ostland and Ostermark.
Okay.
And so everything's going super well. They're doing really well. And then in a strangely common trend in Warhammer fantasy, when things are going super well for them, Miska, the Ice Queen, decides, I need to leave. I need to just vanish to the north.
Which she just like goes?
Yeah, because apparently she just has like this weird vision that says, hey, you need to disappear into the north because there's something big happening up there. And then one day you'll return and save your people. So legit, she just...
What the hell does that mean?
I don't know. So legit, she just up and leaves everything except her magic sword, Fear Frost, which is now inherited, which it's like an inherited weapon to like every Khan Queen to use, and she just vanishes to the north. She just dips.
Wait, is this the Ice Queen I know about?
No, the Ice Queen you know about is Katarine.
Okay,
which we will talk about.
They look identical, or at least darn close.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, we will definitely talk about Katarine a little bit. And as a quick aside, if you're wondering about Fear Frost, it's basically exactly the weapon you think it is. It is a magical ice sword that can freeze you if it cuts you. But yeah, in that picture, that is Fear Frost. It's a pretty cool sword.
It's definitely not Frostmourne. It is Fear Frost.
Fear Frost.
That's fine. It looks pretty cool.
It's Frostmourne? What?
Well, no, it's like Frostmourne is like, from WoW.
Oh, I never played WoW.
Oh, well, it's like the Lich King's sword. You've seen the Lich King's, like that famous image of him pulling the sword, you know?
Sure. Okay, cool. So, it is now fallen on Miska's daughter, Shoika, to kind of take the reins and make sure everything keeps going steadily. She would lead her people to building the capital city of Kislev. And then I'm not entirely sure the reason she decides to do this. But she decides, you know what? The ruler of Kislev, they shouldn't be called the Khan Queen anymore. From now on, you refer to your leader as the tzarina. And if it is a male leader, he is the tzar. And under her rule, they would basically just kind of conquer the remaining Ungol lands, which the big one is this super important port city that was neighboring them called Norvard, which they would then rename into Erengrad.
Gesundheit.
Thank you. And basically now Kislev is kind of off to the races because now they have a really great port city for trading, for resources, and it's just like, oh, nice. We well and truly, she's like, oh, I have fulfilled my mother's mission of having not only a united Kislev, but a Kislev that is just its own sort of self-sustaining country. And it's also worth noting that as time went on, the Ungols, which were kind of run out of Kislev, they were allowed to return and be citizens of Kislev and live there as long as they lived under Kislev rule. Like their old city of Prague, they were welcomed back there. They were allowed to live there. And it becomes a city that is kind of just a majority Ungol city. And despite their obviously rocky history, they actually live in coexistence now. And one of the few remaining tensions is the fact that tzars and tzarina, I think you'd be surprised to hear that somehow they always come from Gospodar bloodlines. There's no Ungol tzars or tzarinas. Could you believe that?
Me doing the meme of the guy like with the mouth open facing the camera and both of his hands behind his back, like looking around like no way.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Could not believe my eyes. If 10 million fireflies. Anyway. And also they all just really hate chaos. They hate chaos marauders. They hate the worshippers of chaos. So they're united in the sense that, you know what? We might have had a rocky history, but we're all here together and man, fuck chaos. And again, the garrisons and cities of Kislev kind of, like I said, stand as a defended border against the chaos forces, chaos-worshipping humans from the north. And, you know, they do their job really well.
Also, can we talk about how the Ungols look like if you were, it's like, all right, Bricky, draw what you think an Ungol would look like, like from memory. This is about right.
Well, do you have like an image that you are thinking of?
No, I'm looking at like the Ungols, and it's like, oh, what is the faction of the Ungols look like? And I was like, you know, it might be some weirdo tribesmen, and that's basically what that, or like I don't know, they look very strange.
Like I think their minis are basically just like pretty much what you think of like horse riding, no shirt, buff, long hair. They've got pelts on their knees or on their for their pants, and they are very kind of what you would expect of a nomadic sort of barbarian tribe.
Why do they look like why do they look like a little decrepit, or is that just this weird old man?
It might be the weird old man, or it might have to do with the fact that they are roaming the steppes so much, and it's so cold there, and it naturally has an effect on you, and they're constantly fighting chaos, and steppes are just really dangerous, and it could be any of those things, right?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure exactly. I guess it's like shamanistic sort of, but like, yeah, like the person in like the outfit with all of the like the raven skulls and deer antlers and skulls on the body and like teeth and bones. I don't really know how to describe that. It's like a very specific like visual look with you know, like let's like deer heads and things like that. But yeah, I mean Shai says like pagan druidic style, but I'm not sure that's what I'm referring to, or if that's just like the general vibe.
Because they do have their fair share of witches, magic, hag witches, and stuff like that. So it could be a part of their sort of like just the sort of mysticism that they believe in as well. So
gotcha.
Could be any of that. But the Ungols in Prague are getting a little uneasy about the chaos nonsense because they have a shaman, or they have shamans that are like, hey, guys, I know everything's going great, but we're getting like these visions of the future, And it doesn't look good, and it doesn't feel right. It feels like Chaos is kind of juicing up for something like big. And so I think they have like 750 years of relative peace in Kislev. And what would end up happening is in the north, they would crown a new Everchosen. His name is Asavar Kull, which Everchosen is basically the highest of the high that a Chaos champion can become. They have the blessings of all the Chaos gods. They've united all the human-worshipping war bands of Chaos, and essentially you now have a champion of Chaos undivided. Everchosen, obviously, a massive problem, and I think from what I was reading, Shai, correct me if I'm wrong, there have only been, in all of Warhammer Fantasy's history, there have only been 13 Everchosen.
Okay,
Asavar
right.
Kull is only the 12th.
I think I remember the Everchosen from way back when we started talking it, because the end times was a big part of that, right?
I think the 13th Everchosen causes the end times. Yeah. That's what Shai said, actually. But yeah, I think we talked specifically about Asavar Kull in the Empire episode when we talked about Magnus, because the Magnus part and the Kislev part kind of overlap.
Right, the other Magnus.
Yeah, the one that actually didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
Yeah. And it would be this Everchosen, Asavar Kull, that would lead his newly united army into Kislev and basically just starts massacring and slaughtering his way until they reach Prague. And Prague didn't want to fall easy. Like, they had these massive spiked walls that were like the pride and joy of Prague. Prague was known as the bastion of the north, and true to like Kislev pride, they held out really well against Asavar Kull and the Chaos undivided forces at the start of the campaign anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, because like the bitter cold of like Kislev obviously is advantageous to them, especially in the winter, and a lot of the Chaos forces get kind of wrecked by the bitter cold. The people are dropping left and right, and it seemed like, hey, this is going okay. But this army the Everchosen rallied was massive, and they just don't stop coming, and they don't stop coming, and they don't stop coming, until literally the city of Prague starts running out of supplies, and they literally start starving to death, trapped inside their own walls. And so now, unfortunately, winter has kind of turned against Prague, because no supplies, no food, they can't get out, Chaos is still at your doors. Oh no, what's that? Winter's coming to an end and the weather isn't benefiting us anymore. The city of Prague essentially stood no chance. Once winter ended, the armies of the Everchosen just went absolutely wild. They enter the city. They are burning civilians and soldiers alike. And Chaos goes so hard in this town that, like, not only do they kill everybody, the Chaos energies literally start warping people into the walls. So the walls have like screaming faces on them, and people get just like imbued into the walls.
Oh, I love it. I love it when people are in the walls. We do it so often. We get so much of it.
They're in the walls. They're in the walls. They're in the walls. And because of all of this just awful stuff, Prague sort of just becomes known as the cursed city. Because Prague falls a lot. Prague fell to the Gospodars, and then they recover, and then Chaos comes, they fall again. But the people of Prague are very, very stubborn. They just keep coming back. But around the time that Prague fell, the reigning Tsar, I forget what his name is at the current time, but he had sent a request for emergency aid to the Empire because, they're allies. And, how many times do we have to stop Chaos from invading before you guys come and help us, right? But the problem is, this is not a great time for the Empire. If you remember in our Empire episode, like I mentioned, they go through this period called the Age of Three Emperors. No specific leader, civil wars, rebellions, like I said, and there's nothing really going great for the Empire right now, so they're not in a lovely position to send aid to anyone. And so there are also some chaos insurgents that are literally already in the Empire, also making life a living hell for them. And they're like, oh yeah, if our little chaos insurgents go into the Empire and they start causing problems to you, they can't send support to Kislev because we're already in your doors, we're already in your walls.
That's just so funny to me, and it's so chaos pilled.
Yep. And again, like, as I said, there's a lot of Empire episode overlap here. This is around the time a bunch of Tzeentch demons start causing problems in the city of Nuln. And the city of Nuln kind of gets overrun, and they're like, oh, Sigmar, guide us. Please help us, Sigmar. We come to you praying for, hope and salvation. And this is when that comet shoots across the sky. Magnus the Pious looks up and he's like, oh, shoot. That's a sign from Sigmar. And he sort of gets like really juiced up and he's like, oh, I have the will of Sigmar behind me. It is my duty to rid the world of chaos. And that's when he starts just, he clears out the demons in Nuln. He starts to really rally the forces of the Empire behind him. He literally has to walk through fire to gain the support of Middelheim. He manages to get the aid of a high elf, someone named Archmage Teclis. So, like, Magnus has human and high elf working as a unified empire, and they're like, okay, we gotta go save Prague. Let's go save Prague, because, man, that cursed city sounds like it's in big trouble. And so they ride, like, full speed, trying to stop chaos from, like, ransacking Prague, but they missed it by, like, a few hours. And they show up and Prague is just on fire. All they hear is like women and children screaming. They see all the twisted nonsense. They basically show up in time to see chaos leave. They basically, oh great, look, everything's destroyed. Oh look, on the horizon, it's chaos. They're leaving. Damn it. So with the town of Prague, the Empire couldn't really do anything. So Prague kind of ruined at this point, but if you remember Karaz A. Karak, the dwarves in there are like, we normally like to just keep our doors shut to all this nonsense and just, bleh, But they were like, this seems like a thing where all of us need to band together, because if we don't, chaos is just going to run rampant. So legit, hundreds of dwarves start marching towards Kislev, and they're like, we're going to help you. We are going to aid you. We are going to support you. And now, essentially, you have human, dwarf, high elf, all collectively coming together to help Kislev in their fight against the Everchosen.
Well, I mean, I feel like if the Everchosen win, things get really, really bad. So I'm kind of on their side with that one.
Dwarfs are like, yeah, it wouldn't be good if we just shut our doors and prayed like we did in the Great Catastrophe.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And it should be noted that at this point, Chaos is now kind of in the middle of a pincer attack. Because Magnus had taken some of his forces to like beeline it to Kislev, while some of his forces went to Prague. So Magnus is like trying to make a direct line to Kislev. He sends some of his troops to Prague, like, hey, go help them out if you can. And the ones that went to Prague, although they weren't in time to save Prague, they were like, oh, there's the Everchosen's army. And so they start attacking the back lines of the Everchosen's army. And they do it so well, the back lines literally don't even have enough time to report that they have been attacked to the Everchosen. So the Everchosen has no idea that his backline is getting absolutely fucking roasted. And again, because we don't have infinite time, and we kind of talked about this already when we talked about like Magnus during the Empire episode, we can do a little TLDRing here. So Magnus kind of arrives en masse to Kislev. Teklin's magic starts doing work because obviously the Everchosen's forces are there. They are banging on the gates of Kislev. And so this big amalgamation of dwarfs, humans, Teclan, elves, they're attacking them from the front, but they're also getting attacked from the back. So Asavar Kul is like, oh, shoot, we're in a really bad spot. But Asavar Kul pulls out like one last trump card. He reins in like all of his like mightiest soldiers. He calls in like all of his big heavy hitters, and they start to turn the tide of battle. And it's looking like, oh shoot, Asavar Kul's gonna win. Holy, like I think there's a specific point where like 100 dwarves, they're like keeping the gates of Kislev shut, and they're like, oh man, we gotta go help. And literally 100 dwarves just walk into an absolute slaughter. But when all looked lost, everything would unravel for Asavar when there's like this big imperial relief force that arrives. It was meant to go and help Prague, but Prague was destroyed. So they were like, hey, let's go to Kislev. And so now Asavar Kul is getting like hit on like 3 sides. So even though he has his biggest, baddest warriors, he's getting hit from the back. He's getting hit from the front because Kislev were like, oh shoot, aid? Open the doors. All the soldiers come pouring out. They're getting hit from the front, from the back. This new relief force is hitting them from the side, and it's not good for Asavar Kul. It's not good for the Everchosen, because now he has to duel Magnus. And he spends 10 plus hours dueling Magnus, and the Everchosen would indeed be defeated by Magnus, and it would end Chaos's siege. That's like the big TLDR version, because this is a huge battle at the gates of Kislev, but again, we don't have infinite time.
I was about to say, this seems like it was an absolute, like, massive thing. Also, the Chaos...
Oh, it was huge.
The Chaos warriors in fantasy are really cool.
Oh, they're so cool. I love their like sort of dark, twisted medieval armor. They're very, very dope. Mm-hmm.
It's really neat.
Yep. But after all this is said and done, everyone's kind of surveying the damage that has happened at this absolutely massive, just every faction is involved in this siege of the Kislev gates. They're sort of taking survey, and they're like, Kislev as a whole is kind of in ruins. Like, its greatest cities have basically been trampled and toppled by chaos, and the following years in Kislev, not easy. Especially since Kislev is right on the border of Troll Country, and with Kislev being so extraordinarily weakened, suddenly, like, cities are not only in ruin, but they're being overtaken by goblins, trolls, leftover chaos monstrosities. Tsars would come and go trying to like reclaim their lands, but they had like very little success. There was a really bad tzarina who ended up coming into power. Her name was Katerin the Bloody.
Oh, okay. Better her than the other one, the Slaughterer.
Yeah, Katerin the Bloody was a vampire.
Oh, it's extremely on the nose then.
Oh, yes, it is very on the nose. And I think at one point, according to the wiki, she outs herself as a vampire to the people of Kislev. She's like, hey, look at my crazy powers. But the Kislevites, they didn't know what a vampire was. They didn't know what that meant. And apparently, they didn't really care because they were so used to pale-skinned women with magical powers in positions of the tzarina that they were just like, yeah, that tracks. It's fine. Whatever.
My first thought goes to, did you ever watch 30 Days of Night, the movie?
Yes, I did.
I remember that movie fondly, though I don't actually know if it was genuinely good. But I do remember liking it. And my first thought was immediately like, yeah, well, of course it's good vampires are going to become him. You're in the northern areas of Kislev. The sun barely shows itself.
You can probably go out any time of day you want. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Alaska coded.
Yeah. And if I understood her lore correctly, the sort of middle-class nobility decided that, oh man, we need to topple her. We need her reign to end. And not because, she was a savage vampire that was killing and drinking the blood of her people or anything, but they wanted to end her reign because she was immortal. And man, if the tzarina is immortal, that means she never dies. And if she never dies, then we can never potentially rise in our position of power, and we stay stagnant forever.
Okay. Okay.
So they decided to end her reign because we don't like the idea that she's immortal and never leaves power, and we just stay stagnant.
Oh,
nice.
Fantastic. On brand.
Mm-hmm. And she was eventually tamed with a stake to the heart, as of course, and her body was literally frozen on a block of ice that is still on display in the Frost Palace in Kislev as a grim reminder to any other vampires that are thinking of doing what Katerin the Bloody did.
All right, that's all right. I mean, I kind of expected Katerin the Bloody to have a bit more of a longer stint here. I was incorrect.
I mean, to be fair, even though I made it seem short, I think she had like an over 100-year stint as tzarina.
Well, now she had a 100-year stake.
Hey,
hey. I'm loving every minute of it, Jerry.
But things did start to get better when the Boca family came into power.
Boca these nuts?
Shy, kill him. Shy, end this man's life.
Oh, damn. -2, bad joke.
Damn. Shy, invert this man's organs.
Shy, throw this man to the warp.
Shy, feed this man to the wolves.
Feed the lions.
Yeah, but the first of the Boca family. Now I'm gonna hate saying it now. You've ruined this damn family for me. But the first in their line was a Tsar named Vladimir, and he did die fighting goblins. This is true, but as lame as that sounds, it was like one of the first times where a Tsar was like, you know what? I'm going out on the front lines for my people. I'm going to try to reclaim land. I'm going to try making safe passage. I'm going to make sure my people get what they need. And so he was a beloved Tsar because of what he tried to do, even though he died doing it. His son, Boris, was just like his father in the sense that he wanted very much to reclaim the lands of Kislev that they lost, and he fought heroically to make it happen. He even damn near bankrupt the Boca line just to try to like reclaim the lands and get everything back. He was also huge proponent at bringing back the worship of Ursin, the god of bears and war, which had seen a steady decline because people were kind of starting to worship the Empire gods because the Empire now had a presence a little bit in Kislev after they came to rescue them. And it was kind of like, we need to get back to the old way. And to do that was no easy task. He had to undergo a trial that would see him tame a wild bear. He had to go tame a ritual of the wild bear, which he was more than happy to do. Until he went missing for like over 2 weeks, and everybody assumed that he had died in the harsh wilderness of Kislev.
Okay.
But they did finally find Boris. I think I read that it was specifically on the 19th day of searching. They find his unconscious body being guarded by this big, ferocious white bear, and they were surrounded by wolf corpses. But even when the Kislevites came near, this bear would not let anyone near Boris's body. And it wasn't until Boris finally regains consciousness that the bear's like, okay, you guys want to tend to Boris? That's fine. He's here. He's letting you through.
Let me just talk about how it's Boris.
Boris
the bear.
Boris the bear. It is indeed Boris the bear.
Okay, I won't lie though. Wait, is that Boris the bear?
That has to be Boris the bear.
It
just has to be.
That's such a cool looking dude.
Oh yeah. Their look is so good. And we will be talking about those feathers on their back as well, because that's like a big thing in Kislev.
Well, it's like what was the old one, like the winged hussars or whatever they are?
I don't know, actually.
It's like an old, don't worry about it. This gives me, I forget. Shai told me the name of this a while ago, but it was like super stereotypical USSR Russian media. Because I think I remember, like, I see this bear. My first thought goes to like Red Alert 3, where it's like a massive, just like over the top shit post. And I'm just thinking like winged hussars or whatever it is riding on top of armored bears. Like, can we give them like a handle of vodka in the other hand if we're going to go that far?
A handle of that would be great. Oh man. What is that a historical picture?
Yeah, the Polish, that's what they were there, the Polish winged hussars.
Wow, yeah. That is so I hadn't looked up any of the actual historical things. That is like to a T what they have a group called the Winged Lancers. That's to a T what they look like.
Yeah, that's not surprising to me. The I mean it's everything is based on the history at some point. I wonder if they stopped putting the wings on if they were like a huge pain to fight with. Because that's my first thought is that they'd be a huge pain to fight with.
Oh, absolutely, right? That would be just like kind of cumbersome and very easy to get stuck in things and get you off your horse and yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, but the bear basically never leaves Boris's side again. And as you saw, Boris literally rides into battle on his big, cool, dope-ass bear mount.
That's so neat.
Right? And as the tale goes, which I assume was told from Boris because he was the survivor, is that he finds the bear in the wilderness and they begin to literally fight bare-handed. And it was basically a stalemate with the bear. Bear can't take down Boris. Boris can't take down the bear. And they're fighting for a full-ass 24 hours. And because it was just such a fierce fight, their blood is just all throughout the air. Wolfpack smells it, and they're like, oh, we're eating good tonight. And so this wolfpack surrounds them. And even though the bear and Boris were just fighting it out, duking out, they're like, oh, shoot. We got wolves to deal with. And they kind of just have this unspoken bond where they both just, boom, start cracking skulls on wolves and boom, bam. But Boris, the injuries get the better of him. He falls unconscious. And the bear, gaining sort of this savage respect for Boris, protects him from the wolves until he could be rescued by the Kislevites.
So another of opportunity. You know, I gotta be honest. I always thought this was like a big Eastern European type faction. I disagree. This is a very American. These bitches got the right to bear arms.
Oh wow, you are on fire today.
Yeah, I'm burning alive.
Hooey, yeah. Put this man on the stake. What is going?
I mean, I can't think of a more stereotypical main character faction person than the dude who wrestles a bear for a full day and then befriends the bear and then rides him into battle. God damn it, dude. I love it.
It's fair. But Boris would go on to be a rather successful czar. He would also found the Great Orthodoxy, which was basically a way to sort of just streamline the gods Kislev worshipped, which obviously the most popular one and their sort of logo is the cult of Ursun, the bear in strength.
Ursun.
And they also have the cult of Tor, which is the god of thunder and the deity to all their warriors. They have the cult of Shalia, the goddess of healing and comfort. The cult of Daz, the god of fire and sun. And the reason it was like so important to Boris to like really sort of like streamline all this into like the Great Orthodoxy is because some of these cults, their rituals were getting a little funky fresh. Like there were some hags and witches in the woods that were, these rituals, they feel like something that chaos could latch onto and cause problems with if things get any more crazy. So he wants to make the Great Orthodoxy where it's like, hey, listen, all of you, if you wanna pray to your god, you can do it, but just do it under our watchful eye. Just do it with our priesthood so that, if things get a little out of hand, we can just be like, hey, stop that.
Yeah.
Stop it.
I mean, I feel like the shamanistic rituals like that always end up in some method.
So he was like, this is pretty important. Let's just keep it down. But Boris, unfortunately, would eventually fall in battle while patrolling Kislev. He was taking on a chaos-worshipping human warband called the Kurgans. They had him fully surrounded. They take him out. He falls off of his bear. His bear goes running off, is never seen again. The myth has it that the bear is constantly roaming the northern chaos waste looking for the people that killed Boris so it can have its revenge.
Oh man, now I'm really sad now. I thought Boris would stick around.
I mean, he had a nice long reign, and with Boris's passing, his daughter would take the reins as tzarina until the end times. His daughter, of course,
bear?
Tzarina the bear? His daughter, of course, being Katerin the Ice Queen.
Oh, shit. Oh, she's 1/4 Krogan.
She's 1/4 Krogan. And actually what's crazy is like I was kind of like reading through the wiki and I was like, oh, cool. Now we learned about Katerin the Ice Queen. Literally the next line is like, oh yeah, Katerin the Ice Queen and the end times. And I was like,
I feel like Katerin is like a seriously bad bitch.
oh, 100%, because we still have a lot to talk about, and we will sort of talk about Katerin's mindset and what she's doing, but like, I was like, oh, come on, man, end times now, you just introduced Katerin.
Lovely. I love when I hear, we have so much more to talk about 51 minutes into the episode.
Oh, well, shut up.
He makes a good point.
I know, right? So that's basically like our little TLDR on Kislev's history. It was like, that's the abbreviated version, man. We're 54 minutes in. That's the abbreviated version, like the super abbreviated version. So let's talk a little bit about the people of Kislev, how they live, some of the things that make them so, excuse the pun, cool. And of course, I think the first thing we got to talk about is how cool their ice magic is, which specifically, the ice magic is something that only the women of Kislev can do.
Let's go. Warhammer Fantasy is so progressive.
So progressive. Let's go. Actually, I was reading a little blurb about this where in Kislev, they find the use of magic to be a very feminine art.
Oh, interesting.
And so the men are like brutal warriors and stuff. The women are mages. And I think usually when foreign male magic users come to Kislev, they're kind of berated a little bit and they are not shown like the most hospitality ever.
Pussy, you're not going to rely on these giant guns on my arms? You're going to use some kind of magic instead of your pure gains?
Right? Kind of what happens. But the Ice Witches are descended from the first Khan Queen Miska and the Ancient Widow, which, like I said, nothing bad happened. Ancient Widow, hey, you're thriving in my lands. Wonderful. Good for you. And all the Ice Witches aren't just kind of like doing their own selfish thing. They're actually like, the Ice Witches are an organized group. They're like a sisterhood that genuinely acts for the betterment of Kislev. And interestingly enough, while a lot of magic is from like the winds of magic, it's this blowing wind of magic. From what I've read, it seems like the ice magic of Kislev, it's not part of the winds of magic. They think that it is literally like this mystical sort of magical energy that is just a part of Kislev itself. Like the icy lands and the icy winds of Kislev are just empowering them with this ice magic. So it's like almost this unexplainable Frozen-esque magic.
Shai said the feminine urge to use frosty magic from a giant frost bear. But here I am thinking that people are going to take it the other way and be like, only women can use ice magic because their hearts are cold as ice.
Oh,
because them bitches be ice cold.
Damn. It gives new definition to giving someone the cold shoulder.
You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me a little bit of I feel bad because I always forget her name. She's the lady in the Castlevania series.
Oh, I don't remember her name either. I'm not a huge Castlevania fan, though. To be fair,
it was the Netflix show. It was really good, actually, but I always forget her. Sypha? I think it's Sypha.
Sure. I remember watching season 1, and I can't remember why I didn't get into season 2 because I loved the first season so much.
She's like a battle mage kind of character, so it kind of reminds me of that a little bit. It's neat.
Yeah. And one of the more important things to note about Kislev is that it is by and large made up of basically like the returning Ungls live in the north, and the sort of hoity-toity Gospodars live in the southern region, kind of in peaceful coexistence. They live together. And the separation, kind of what you'd expect it to be. Ungol areas to the north of Kislev, they're more tribal, they're more nomadic, kind of like they were before being integrated. And it seems to me like Kislev in the south is sort of like the rich, noble, upstanding, sort of like they got this like pseudo-empire vibe going on to it. In the north, they even have their own sort of Ungol law, and they're sort of allowed to govern their territories with it. From what I read, this was something that Katarin's father, Boris, initially was like, you know what? I need the support of the Ungols. I want them to really fight hard for me. I want them to like be all in on this. So you know what? They're in the north. They're kind of far away from us. Let's let them govern themselves. They're not asking anything crazy. And apparently, Katarin really hates this and wants to get rid of it because she wants all law to pass through her. But she kind of has to respect the ruling of her father before her because that's just a very Kislev thing to do.
Yeah, but like slay?
Yeah, but like slay queen, slay, who cares? It's also a little confusing because as I understand it, the Ungol laws aren't actually recorded or documented anywhere. They're just kind of memorized by this group of Ungols called the Wise Women, and like their judges, they're like law judges to just pass down the laws every generation. Which I need to talk about the Wise Women because you hear the name Wise Women and you're like, damn, they must be like super respected and super well liked, right?
No,
but they kind of aren't.
Okay,
no?
Are they like? I don't know what else to expect from what you're about to say. Then besides no.
Yeah, like when I heard Wise Men, I was like, oh yeah, these have got to be like clan elders, but like they're considered like this kind of old guard. They've been around for a really long time. They've kind of seen everything. They basically know the full running history of Kislev. They know what chaos tainted shit looks like when they see it. And, you know, they try really hard to make sure they're using their vast knowledge to help everyone around them. Which is kind of why most people sorta kinda hate them. Like in trying to help, they just kind of sound like that mom that's consistently telling you not to have fun. Like maybe you want to start a farm, you're like, oh hey, that looks like some fertile land over there. Like maybe we should like, hey, we could really use a farm in these nomadic areas. And a wise one be like, no, you can't. 700 years ago, there was a demon incursion there, and there was a demon portal. It's no good. You can't farm there. Stop it. And it's kind of stuff like that. So while they're only trying to help, they're kind of not really well liked.
Well, are they right though? Like, and also could they not look like a hag in the woods? I'm sorry. Wait, what do you mean they're not well liked? Shai posted this photo. She has an entire basket of skulls in a cauldron held up by skulls. What do you mean they're not well liked?
Okay, that's probably a hag witch, which I'm about to talk about. But I think most of the time they're not wrong that like, oh yeah, there was like a thing that happened there a long time ago. I think it's more like they're just overly cautious. It's like overly cautious to the point of like, look, that was like 700 years ago, dude. Like they're obviously gone. That area's been fine for a long time. And I think people are just kind of tired of being told no. You
Okay.
know, like a scorned child. They're kind of like, no, mommy, I don't like the word no. Tell me yes and I'm a good guy. And yeah.
All right, fair point.
Also, most wise women aren't able to use magic, but there are a few of them that can properly connect with the winds of magic, and those are known as hag witches.
Oh, dear.
And, yep, specifically their power comes at the cost of increased appearance of aging, though magically they can live to be like several hundred years old. And like the really, really, really strong hag witches are called hag mothers.
Okay, I mean, that is a much different photo than the first one. I'll give you that one. She looks more like a vampire than like a
yeah.
But Jesus.
Yeah, that is like the most popular picture of a hag mother because holy. And the Ungols place a huge importance on hospitality because, of course, they do. They are a nomadic tribe that is living in a barren winter hellscape. So to them, it's like, hey, even if that is your worst enemy, even if it's a villain, you do not leave them out in the cold. You bring them in, you give them shelter for the day, figure out what's wrong later. never leave someone out in the cold. That is one of the worst crimes in their community, is if you're an uncle and you refuse to give someone hospitality, it's like a big no-no. The only thing worse you can do is abuse the hospitality that someone gives to you. Like if you start insulting your host, or you start spitting on them or insulting them, ooh, they're coming for you.
When you say coming for you, as in like you'll just die, or what?
So they might. I don't know if they would straight up kill you, but we'll talk about some of the punishments that Ungol law permits in just a minute here, and they're not great. They're not great. But speaking of like punishments, right? With Ungol law, they see everything as very communal, very community. So if you're in a family or you're in a community and one person in your community breaks the law, they can literally come after anybody in your community and take them to be judged. It doesn't have to be the person that did it. They would prefer if it was the person that did it, but if they can't get them, they are absolutely going to take someone from your community and just goink, take them.
I'm sorry. Yes, goink. Thank you.
Goink.
Goink. So they basically, like, the failures of the one destroy the whole group.
Yeah, essentially. It's on the community to be like, hey, we got to take care of everybody. We got to watch everybody. If it seems like somebody's falling off the rails, grab them, put them in their place. Because, like, if little Timmy steals an apple and then ghosts us, they could very easily take grandma or something. Because, oh, grandma,
little Timmy, you stole thing. Now grandma's going into the walls.
Yep.
Good job,
because,
Timmy.
Hey, grandma, you were always watching the kid, weren't you? It falls to you, right? It's weird also because the Ungos see the Gospodars as just one big family. So if there's just a random Gospodar that comes into Ungol territory and they steal something, they kill someone, or they shit on someone for offering them shelter, the Gospodars are like, well, we could theoretically, justifiably take literally any Gospodar and try them for the crime. Which Katerin hates this. She hates that so much. So she literally has like a special troop that if there is a Gospodar who is accused of an Ungol crime, she's like, hey, guard, go find him immediately so we can just give them the person that did it. That's who they want anyway. Whatever. It's fine. And there's no stressing about like who they're going to try and like make pay for it.
Oh, well, I mean, that's good. It's a little quick, but I get it.
And usually there's like a third-party judge who kind of resides over any disputes. They look over the evidence, they look over the facts, and it is sort of this judge. Once this judge is like, yes, you're guilty, that's it. You don't get to argue. You don't get to cop a plea deal. That is over and done with. And it seems like that would be something that like could be very easily abused. But from what I've seen, like there have been almost no misuses of power in this position. Usually goes over really well. And also Katerin in recent times has taken to being like, hey, if you're going to be an Ungol judge, you need my permission because God, I don't want this to get out of hand. And so you asked what could happen? What are some of the punishments that the Ungol tribes give, right?
Well, I do want to point out the thing Shai said. It says, by the way, to prevent chat from being mad, we need to mention that the Ungols are based on the Zaporozhian Cossacks. Oh, that's hard.
Oh,
Ukrainian Cossacks. Though I must admit, the photo that she chose for this is a lot more jovial and fun, and doesn't look like a lady with a basket of skulls.
True.
So like this looks like a far more enjoyable time here as opposed to what the Ungols look like in Kislev.
Also, would chat be mad at not not having that mentioned?
Chat loves their history. They love their history.
Okay.
And if there's one thing Americans never learn about, it's European history.
Fair. So here's a list of some of the punishments you can be given. Granted, these are probably the more serious ones, but there's the punishment of arrows, where you are literally tied up to a post while archers shoot arrows at you. And weirdly, the victim is usually allowed to pick one of the archers. And how many archers, how many shots they take, how close or how far away from you they are, that is up to the judge to decide with how severe your crime was. One example that someone was like, oh yeah, I'm going to pick this archer. And I think the archer was like renowned for not having great aim. Missed literally every single shot. They got to go free. There's also the punishment by the glove, where they have like these clamshell gloves that are super heated until they are glowing red. Those get clasped around the victim's hands for a length of time that the judge deems worthy. There is the punishment by the helmet, which is similar to punishment by the glove, except, it's a helmet that gets superheated and it just gets riveted onto your fucking dome.
A lovely classic. We love to hear it.
Which, if you're lucky and the judge is like, hey, I don't want you to suffer that, they can, they're like, you know what, we're just going to rivet this thing right into the base of your skull, and this rivet is going to go right into your brain and kill you like that, and you won't have to suffer. Lucky you!
Yeah, I don't believe that for a second.
There is also punishment by horse running, which is exactly what it sounds like, but it can vary depending on how the judge is feeling. So either you get your hands tied, maybe it gets tied around your waist so you can keep up with it, they tie your ankles, and sometimes they're just like, you know what, let the horse decide, and just be like, fuck it, God's gonna decide how bad this is gonna be for you.
Go get him, horse. You can pick how this guy dies.
Yeah, pretty much. And how long the horse runs again and how fast it runs is determined by the severity of your crime. So you could survive this, or you could get absolutely just toasted. And the last one is the punishment of spirit's mercy, where more or less you are exiled out into the harsh climate of Kislev with a brand on your face that basically says to every tribe, do not offer me hospitality. And you gotta basically just figure out on your own how to survive in the wilds of Kislev. And usually they send you out there butt-ass naked with nothing but your name.
Is that kind of what like Stalin did back in the day for people he didn't like? He was like, all right, here you go to Siberia. Good luck.
Sounds right.
Seems
Sounds like something Stalin would do, sure.
I thought that was like an old punishment or something from back in the day. Maybe more than just Stalin did that, but don't worry about it.
Old, yes, never happens. Totally, right, Shai?
Yeah, I know. I remembered that one Stalin guy doing it.
Yeah.
Perhaps others did it, but we don't need to worry about that right now.
Yeah, totally. If you're like a part of an extremely wealthy or well-liked family, they will let you have like a full set of equipment too, but usually chances are you're screwed. And that's kind of how the Ungles of Kislev operate, right? They're just very big on the community. They're very big on their sort of little clan units, which again makes sense because you're a nomadic group in an icy hellscape like Kislev. So of course, hospitality is important. Of course, making sure nobody is left out in the cold, very important. But a quick aside, like this mindset, obviously important for a nomadic tribe, but even more so on Kislev because the steppes that they call home, or the oblast as they call it, again, pretty remote place, pretty cold, pretty dry, insanely difficult place to live. So being hospitable, super, super, super important. And in the south, it's mostly Gospodar territories in Kislev. Things are much more, to speed this up, it's more kind of like the Empire. Right? Very much show your respect to the rich nobles. Katerine wants literally all law in Kislev to run through her. She wants to be the end-all, be-all, but she also kind of has to concede because Kislev is like, on the whole, Kislev kind of barren, kind of empty. the further north you go, and not fully recovered. So she got to keep everybody unified. So while she might want everything to run through Kislev, she wants all law to run through her. She kind of has to make these sort of like concessions to the Ungol people so that they stay in line, so that they're happy, and that, they don't get constantly invaded.
As is important.
Yes, as is important. Because if the Ungols are like, nah, we don't like you anymore, then, you lose like your first line of defense on Kislev. Also, interestingly enough, the people of Kislev don't mind when their taxes are raised, because like they are so often fighting chaos and they are so often at war that they're like, well, if they're raising the taxes, it's probably for the military. And if it's for the military, like obviously we want to pay more, because if the military is underfunded, we're fucked.
What a bizarre thing. I just like, yes, of course. That's terrifying. Damn. Yep. I'll gladly pay more taxes.
To be fair, Katerin has shown herself to be a leader that's not like, oh yeah, I'm just going to increase taxes because I want to do it and I want more money. She literally only does it when she has to, right?
This is so surprising. Damn, I'm starting to think that maybe Warhammer isn't a satire in real life. That shit would never happen.
No, it wouldn't. But yeah, Katerin rules from her ice palace, which is literally just this beautiful frozen palace. Everything is made out of ice. It just glistens. She has a frozen court where she makes all of her rulings. And of course, she has a special secret police called the Chekist. And those are basically her eyes and ears all over Kislev for anyone that's voicing displeasure or anyone that's abusing the laws.
Oh, God.
Also, when you're in the Frozen Court, there are very specific rules. It's basically like you can't stand behind, you can't sit behind, you can't be higher than, you can't turn your back on, and you cannot sit in the Ice Queen's presence. So she's always got to be above you. You can't be behind her. You can't be in her blind spot. And from what I've heard, this isn't like a super harsh rule. It's just like, hey, I want everyone to concentrate on what I'm doing. I need everyone to do what I want them. She needs to be the focus of the attention.
And this is the reasonable one.
Yeah.
I'm so confused.
Also, one of the more amusing laws in Kislev is basically it's cool if you have family feuds. It's literally written into law that if like there's a family member that is injured unjustly, it is totally well within your right to take revenge for it. And if you do, you won't be punished. But it has to be justified. If it's some reasonable thing like, oh yeah, they got into like an honor duel or something, you can't do that. Also, if the little revenge tour between families gets too hard, the court has the power to be like, no, you guys got to stop this. This is getting out of hand. It's to the detriment of Kislev and everybody involved. Stop it. Also, there are obviously laws that basically say like you got to be super nice to the nobles, and specifically you got to be extra respectful to the Tsar or the tzarina. And even though that sounds like, kind of not great, actually the people end up really liking this law because the Katerin doesn't really enforce it that hard on the general public. Like if you're kind of just sitting in a tavern, you're drunk, you're chatting, and you're just like, oh, Katerina's a shithead, she's not going to do anything to you. But if you're a noble and you're in a position of power and you're like, oh, Katerina's awful, oh, I can't believe she'd do this, oh my God, what a fraud, she is probably going to take you into custody, which the people love because they're like, oh, she loves me and she hates the nobles. Let's go. Also, really quick, there is a law that makes it illegal for any adult male in Kislev to not have a weapon and maintain it and practice with it. But nobody really cares because, hey, listen, Of course, it's Kislev. You want to have a weapon. You want to know how to use it. Chaos is always showing up. Duh.
I was about to say, like Shai took the words out of my mouth. Like, yes, a populist totalitarian leader. Yes, extremely not on the nose. I'm starting to understand. At first, I was like, "What the hell are they doing with it?" And now I'm starting to get it. Now I'm starting to get the point, because every time you're like, God, like, hey, Bricky, here's this law that like absolutely sucks, but everyone voted for it and likes it, and I'm like
everyone loves it, yeah, dude.
And I'm starting to get the joke.
I was also reading that Katarin's secret police really hate that everybody needs to have a weapon law, because the secret police are like, look, I get it, but like if all the people realize that they have weapons and they know how to use them, we can't stop them. So maybe we should turn this around. But she's like, nah, and yeah, it's for the Northerners. Also, this law does not apply to women. They can still own and maintain a weapon. Just the law doesn't specifically make it like, oh, hey, this is like a thing you have to have. Also, as the bear is the very symbol of Kislev, it is very, very, very illegal to hunt and kill a bear for any reasons. And if you are found guilty of this, you are probably getting the sentence of death.
Damn. All right.
Yep. And I can't talk about every little detail about Kislev. So let's talk about their infantry. Let's talk about like some of their beefy units, how they go to war, stuff like that. A lot of times with Kislev, with the Ungles in the north, they like to be really quick, fast. They do a lot of hit and run maneuvers because, again, their numbers have been whittled down like crazy. So like the Ungles in the north have these horse archers that are just ridiculously fast. They will surround you, pelt you with arrows, and then be gone like that. And they'll just keep doing that over and over again until they whittle you down into just nothing. The other like super famous Kislev force that makes up a good chunk of their force are called the Winged Lancers. These are the very core and backbone of the Kislev forces. And you saw the depiction of them earlier. They got like those big sort of feathered wings that are affixed to their back as they ride. And they're fast. And when these Lancers are full speed, when they go full speed, these wings make this very like distinctive howl. And this howl that they make is like nails on a chalkboard to chaos. The wings are also like this huge part of the ritual of becoming a winged lancer. So every initiate that wants to become a winged lancer, they are given 5 days, a bow, only 5 arrows, and a knife. You now need to go into the Kislev wilderness and hunt and slay an eagle, which is a sacred animal among Kislev. And then once you get that eagle, once you slay that eagle, the feathers are then used to adorn that big winged, what would you call that? Just the wings on your back.
Yeah, I don't know, what even is that actually? Yeah,
well, like, would you call that a banner? Would you call? I've just been calling it an adornment because I
adornment's pretty good. I go with adornment. Yeah.
Though, according to what I've read, there are families that are like, I don't think our son is a good enough hunter to do this, so they literally hire a hunter to escort their child into the wilds and do literally everything except take the final shot with the bow and arrow. Even worse, some of the more pretentious, asshole, rich noble families, not only will they hire the hunter, they will get the hunter to literally do everything, even take the final shot and kill the eagle for the initiate so they can get into the Winged Lancers.
All right, why not?
I mean, to me, that's a little silly because, like, if your kid isn't good enough to get into the Winged Lancers, and you get a hunter to do it for him, they're obviously not a good warrior. They're probably gonna die anyway.
Right. That, like yeah.
How bad do you really want that status symbol, right?
We're ending up in the fodder, but all right.
I think it's also pretty obvious that the Winged Lancers use lances, as their primary weapon. But if the enemy gets close enough, they will abandon their lances and just start going ham with a sword. There's also a very elite version of the winged lancers called the Griffin Legion. Again, they don't actually fly, they don't use griffins, but they do adorn themselves with griffin feathers. These are like the creme de la the cream. The cream of the winged lancers. They're super veterans. They have been at this for a while, and they put their duty to the tzarina above all else. It should also be noted that like all winged lancers and Griffin Legion are indeed of Gospodar descent. And if you are even better than that, the only place higher you can go as a winged lancer is you can become a war bear rider, which is exactly what the name sounds like. You get to ride a literal war bear, an armored war bear into battle, like Boris, which for anyone from Kislev must be like the highest honor ever because you are riding into battle on the literal symbol of your homeland, of the motherland.
Yeah, that makes like the main. Also, can we just joke about how their main symbol is Urson?
Urson the bear.
Yeah, Urson. Ursine. Like it's just.
So close. It's just one letter.
Literally one letter.
It's so close. Yeah.
Bear riding does seem really cool.
Oh, absolutely. Like if I was in Kislev, I would love to ride into battle on this big old bear. That'd be very cool. And of course, you do have a wee bit of magic in the Kislev army. Like we've already touched on the devastation that an Ice Queen can display, forming blizzards, ice magic. There's also a group called the Ice Guard that weave ice into their magic while they're using a bow and a sword. Also, the main infantry of Kislev are the Kosars, which are kind of just, like I said, base infantrymen, but they are like immensely good with an axe and a bow. Apparently, they have a hybrid fighting style using an axe and a bow, which I don't really understand because I didn't see any like details about how they do it, but it's like this really unique style that has been passed down through the ages.
I mean, axe and bow seems pretty like understandable. You know, you get the bow and the melee weapon, you know, you kind of swap between.
I guess when I heard tandem style, I thought they were using like the axe and the bow like simultaneously, like they held the axe in one hand, but they could like still use the bow. I guess I just kind of misunderstood what I was reading.
I thought they were riding a bike with 2 seats.
What? I don't get it.
Tandem bike.
Oh, wow. You son of a bitch.
That's my name.
You son of a... Dylan! You son of a bitch. Also, they seem to have a ton of feral beasts that can be summoned to fight by their side if a hag witch wills it. Like, looking at the wiki page, they have cave bats that they can summon. They can summon feral bears, feral ice bears, frost worms, giant spiders, incarnate elemental beasts, snow leopards, spider hatchlings. A lot of really dope stuff. Also, look at that frost worm. Holy.
Yeah, frost worm is pretty cool. Giant ice bears is really cool.
Yeah, those are so dope. So I would love to have a hag witch that wants to fight at my side and is just summoning things like willy-nilly. Or if you got like a bunch of them and you got like the big ice bear fighting with the big ice worm.
Maybe that'll make the giant bag of skulls a little bit less problematic.
Yeah, everybody's like, the bag of skulls is weird, but look at that giant ice dragon.
I must say, like, look at that bear in comparison to the man beneath the bear. Like, you know what? Maybe they're all right.
Maybe they're okay. Maybe I'll listen to you, Granny. You didn't want me to camp out there. That's okay. Summon the ice bear. And I think that is where we are going to conclude with Kislev. I think there's probably a lot more I could have delved into, but seeing as how we are almost an hour and a half into the episode, I feel like, you know what? That's an okay place to stop. I feel like we've got the juice the main juice of Kislev. It's frozen. The juice is completely frozen. Unless Shai's like, hey, DK, you missed this super important thing. Talk about it. I think this is a good sort of stopping point where we've got, the thicket of Kislev.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the Kislev is about what was expected.
Kinda. The Tzardom of Kislev.
I expected it to have this level of like obviousness to it all, but I don't know. Maybe I didn't expect it to be this on brand.
Yeah, honestly, like I said, I think the thing that surprised me most was like it looked like they took the winged lancers right out of the history book. Like it is an almost 1-to-1.
I feel like half of these things are right out of the history book.
True. It's kind of wild how on the nose it is.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot. I mean, when you said
especially the ice bears,
the ice bears, the city of Prague, I was just like, damn, we're just doing it.
Yeah, we're just out here doing it. City of Prague. Yep, we're just out here. Totally original IP. Nothing taken from real life at all, right?
No, of course not. Though, I mean, honestly, though, if you're going to take anything from real life, the idea of summoning giant ice bears is like the coolest thing ever. Also, can I just point out that I love that image that Shai posted of the ice bears because you have the ice bear and then the guy, and then you have rear view, but it's like. Like, what were we expecting it to look like? Like, that's exactly what I thought it would look like. I didn't need to know that's right? The rear view of the ice bear.
Yeah, it's not like it's more icy. It's not like there's like something wrong with its hind legs. It's not like its hind legs form blades or something. It's just like, yep, that's a bear's butt, all right.
Well, it's also the fact that like the front doesn't say like front view. It's just view. It's just one and then rear view.
Hey man, there's some artist out there that's like, hey, I wonder what it's like when that bear backed that thing up, right? So
and then it backs the thing up and it's like, oh yeah, no, that's about right. That's a bear. That's a bear's butt.
Yep. We trampled the city because, yep. Yeah. Damn.
I like that prologue in Total War Warhammer 3. It was pretty good. Urson was there as well. And then I think Urson was sold to Chaos.
Ouch. They sold Urson to Chaos?
Kind of. The main Kislev guy was like getting corrupted by a Chaos artifact and he was like trying to find Urson to help him out. And then eventually when he gets there, he's like, what's up, bitch? It's not Urson. It's me, Be'lakor.
Oh no, Be'lakor, you bitch.
Yeah. And then like Urson's like, yeah, you're already too far gone, bitch. Sorry.
Fair. Hell
actually,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure the entire plot of Total War Warhammer 3 is like selling the soul of Urson to like various factions.
Damn, that sounds like the most heretical Kislev thing you could ever do.
Well, it's like this old man kind of guy, and he basically goes around and he's like, hey, I am going to like get you the soul of Kislev. Of Urson, and in exchange you will help me out with something. I forget what it was, but like I remember him walking into like Nurgle's garden and being like, "Hey, Kugath, what's up, bro? I will give you the soul of Urson if you help me with something." And then you play as Nurgle.
Mm-hmm. Ah, okay. You know what sucks? Like me being like the fantasy host, I wish I could get into Total War Warhammer, but it's just not my game.
It's not my game too. Yeah, I played.
Yeah, it's like that World Conquest RTS, and I was like, oh man, it is like the two genres I dislike the most, or I'm just not great at and don't find enjoyment with. And it's like, oh, like this is the game I need to be playing.
See, I did it for like a sponsor video way back when, and I found it to be like fun at the start, but then a lot of like the 4X stuff was lost on me, and I was just more excited to play like the RTS part. Because I enjoy that part.
Kind of the same way. Yeah, like the start feels good, but then like once the 4X stuff kicks in, it's like, oh man, I just want a story battle, please just give me like a cinematic or something. My brain is too smooth.
It's weird because I like both. Like I like 4X games and I love RTS games, but the blend is what threw me. That was what hurt me because like I love Endless Space to death. I think it's like one of my favorite 4X games ever. I love it, but it's just a little bit. But I love StarCraft. I love Command & Conquer, but it was just a little too much for me.
Yeah.
So I don't
See,
know.
I've never been big on 4X or RTS, and I was like, oh no, I tried, I really did. It's just not my game.
How many more factions do we have left? Is Bretonia one of them we haven't done yet?
Yeah, we haven't done a specific Bretonia episode. That is true.
Okay.
I wonder how many. That's true. I don't know specifically how many we have. It's got to be like Bretonia, and then maybe the chaos worshipping human clans.
Ooh,
too.
I want to learn about the vampire courts.
Ooh, yeah, the vampire courts, Chaos Dwarves, Norska, which we brought up several times as being a big problem for a lot of people everywhere.
Is Norska? Please don't tell me it's like Vikings.
Okay.
Norska? No, are you kidding me?
It's Chaos Vikings. Dude.
Oh my god. Oh, right. It is Chaos Vikings. I remember now.
It's Chaos Vikings.
Oh my god. This is worse than 40K. This is more shameless than 40K.
That's the thing. 40K was like, you know what? We were a little shameless in fantasy, weren't we? Let's really tone it down. And 40K looks toned down by comparison.
Okay, that being said, though, a giant 8-point star of Chaos Viking ship is like, that's so gas.
If you...
Oh my god,
Vikings,
DK.
right?
Wait, I'm sorry. DK, you just died right there. Did you hear him at all?
Oh, did I?
He could.
My recording is fine, so you know.
Oh goodness, you just exploded on my end.
Oh, sorry.
I think Discord had a poop.
My recording is going just fine. So hey, at least there's that, I guess.
Hell yeah. Well,
hell yeah.
Good episode. Good. And I gotta be honest, I was we barely sunk in the time frame. I could say that it was quite bearable. It was a cool episode, so I'm probably going to chill out soon, and I'm gonna leave. Bye.
I hate you.